Hello friends, welcome to Koala Knits and Knacks. And if you have not made any of these headbands as of yet with your machine, oh boy, you're gonna love doing it because it's so fast. And it's not just a fast project, not every project has to be fast, but this one is, and it turns out beautiful, and it's just a gorgeous gift. Make 2 or 3 different colors, wrap them up with a nice in a nice packaging or with a label around them and give them away as a gift. Oh, such a great idea. And I am going to do that this winter for my friends. This is what I'm making for my friends this year. Last year I made them beanies, and this year I'm going to make them ear warmers. I'm also going to sell them, of course, too, and give them away. But anyways, this was made on my 40 needle Sentro. I love my 40 needle Sentro. It just makes the perfect width. Let me just grab, as I'm talking to you, I'm going to grab a tape measure and I'm going to show you the width of this. This ear warmer is just a little bit over 5.5 inches long or wide, and so that's a perfect size to wear. The ones that are made on the 46 are almost 7 inches long, and the ones that are made on the Addi 22, I'm just going to grab that while I'm talking to you here as well, that are made on the Addi 22 are 3 inches. So I'm just going to add those in there. That's the Addi 22. This is the Addi 46 needle, and you see the differences in them right there. Okay, so there you go. All made with 4-weight yarn and made with 90 rows. So you know, I mentioned later on in the video that I think the 22 needle is too narrow and the 46 is too wide. But you know what? Depending on what you need them for. If it's not very cold outside, not very windy, you just need a very light covering over your ears, this one is good. If you want to wear it more like a turban and have it cover more of the top of your head, then I guess that one's perfect. But for me, I love this size from my 40 needle Sentro. I just love how it fits. And so on that particular one, I used Craft Smart Value Tweed yarn, and it's in the color gray. It looks more taupey, but it is the color gray. And so you can pick yourself up some of that if you like this yarn. So let's go ahead and get started on this project. Now that we're ready to begin this project, we're going to bring our last white key and our first black key in line with our yarn feeder here. And you'll notice that even on my Sentro, I take a permanent black felt marker and I color this divider that's between those two, so I can always see when it's coming around. I just think that it's just so beneficial, and I'd encourage you to do that. So we're going to do the long tail cast on using waste yarn on both ends of this project. But for the beginning, we're going to go behind the first black needle, in front of the first white, and then back and forth, just like that, all the way around. This is called our long tail cast on. And once we get to the last white needle, it should be behind that needle. Then you put it into your yarn feeder and you crank. I always do 7 or 8 rows of waste yarn. So now I can see that black marker coming around, and I can easily count my rows, because there is no, that's 2. There is no yarn counter row counter on this machine. I miss that very much. I might end up buying one eventually, actually, but I find, you know, when I'm doing projects like this, 90 rows, it's not hard to keep track of how many rows. That was 4. I will do typically 15 or 20 rows, then I'll mark it down in my book, and then I'll keep going, just so I remember what I was at. See if I have enough. I don't have enough yarn to do 7th row, so I'm going to just stop there. I have balls of waste yarn that I just keep rolling up, and sometimes I grab the ones that are too short, but that's okay. I've got a good 6 rows on there, so that's good. Okay, then I'm going to grab my working yarn, which is again my Craft Smart Tweed. I love this color. I think it's just it's beautiful. Insert it into my yarn guide. I'm going to hold both ends of the the ends that are in the middle of my machine. I'm going to crank 4 needles or so, and then I'm going to pull on it, and I like to make sure that that one goes under that needle, and I just give it a little snug up so that when I take my project off my machine, on the other side it's not, the beginning of every row isn't loose. So I do that whenever I do color changes, etc. as well. Okay, so now we're going to knit up 90 rows. Okay, so I put it in the very last hole of the tensioner that's here in the biggest hole, and then I just let it slip through my fingers with no tension on my fingers, and I just keep counting. That's one. See, I can see that black thing coming around, so I know I'm on the mark. I know when the end of the row is coming. So I'm going to keep going around. Generally after 3 or 4 rows, I give this one little tie just so it just holds it in place and holds it secure so it doesn't start to unravel. So we're going to go and crank out 90 rounds for this adult ear warmer. And when you get it touching the table, you want to roll it up in a donut, and I'll stop and show you that when I get to that point as well. So have fun, keep cranking, and get your 90 rows done in no time. All right, we'll see you soon. So when your project starts to touch the table, you want to pick it up and roll it into a donut. And that will just prevent it from puckering up at the top here and you possibly dropping a stitch. It also tightens up the stitches and makes them even around your barrel here so that you have even tension and makes for a more beautiful project. So I'm going to continue going, and let's meet back when we get to 90 rows. Okay, now that we're at 90 rows, we're going to add waste yarn to our project. So I'm going to snip the working yarn, put it between the first white and the last white and the first black needle. I went a little too far, but that's okay. Then I'm going to add my waste yarn, putting it again between the last white and the first black needle. Now I'm going to have a hard time getting it in that little spot there, but let me just tell you, I love my Sentro. I love my Addis too. I have 2 Addis, the 46 needle and the 22 needle. And I love them both too, but I'm telling you, the one that I like working on the most, I gotta say, is my 40 needle Sentro. It just glides so beautifully, and I rarely have a tucked stitch. I just love this machine. I wish the handle were a little bit wider. I'm going to just tie a slip knot here so that I don't lose my end. I wish the returning handle that you hold with your hand was a little bit wider, but even so, it's just, I love this machine. I use my Addi clamps, and I put it around the legs so that it just clamps onto the rubber piece of the leg. And I have a video for that to show you that more specifically if you want to see that. And it holds it down just perfectly, and I love it. So this yarn, I usually do 7 rows of waste yarn at the beginning and the end of my project, but I grabbed a waste yarn that I guess I used with my Addi 22. And so I've only got 5 rows there, but I'm gonna make that work, so I'm not really worried about it. So let's keep turning, and we're going to do 2 full turns, and on the second turn, it starts to loosen and you get your project off your machine. So there we go. Oh, I just love this yarn. This is going to make the most beautiful ear warmer. So you stretch it out in every direction, and it lines up those stitches and makes them twice as soft as they were before. And now we're going to close up the end, make a straight closing there using our crochet hook. So let's tackle that next. In order to close this end, we're going to need to have our 2 stitch markers, and my preference is always the bobby pins, which you will all know if you follow any of my videos. And you're going to put your first bobby pin in the stitch where you've got your working yarn coming on this side, and you'll see that there are 2 stitches, one above the other. You take the one at the top, and you put your bobby pin in there. Then you come to the other side, and you put your bobby pin in that one. Now I explain it better and show you how to find them better in a video that I've done on how to make a straight edge on your project, and you can look that up if you need to see better instructions on that. But we have 40 stitches around here, so I'm going to count around to 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I know that this is 20 and 21 are my are my exact center stitches. So I'm going to put my hook, and I use a crochet hook 4.5 millimeters underneath the 21st stitch, and then I'm going to grab the 20th one and bring it through the loop that's on the hook. Then I'm going to go down to the bottom, grab the next one, up at the top, grab the next one, making sure that I grab every stitch, because if you miss a stitch, it's going to drop your whole row, and it'll unravel that. If that happens, don't rip apart your project. It can be fixed. But you want to make sure that you get all 40 stitches, counting the first one that was on your hook to begin with, okay? And you go across to the end. This looks a little harder than it actually is, only because I'm trying to do it on camera. Oops, and I put a snag in that one, so there we go. Bring it across. Until you get to the end of the row, okay? The width of this ear warmer on the 40 Sentro is just perfect. I find that before I got why is this snagging on me? I'm gonna just pull it back one. Before I got the Sentro 40, I was making my ear warmers on the 46, and I just found that they're way too wide for a head, so I just stopped making them. And then to make them on the Addi 22, I also found that those were too narrow. So this machine, if you want to make a bunch of ear warmers to sell, and you can afford it, pick up the Sentro 40 needle machine, because it really is, it's awesome. I love this machine. Okay, so we're going to keep going down the end. This yarn is snagging on me as I do this, possibly because I'm holding it so far from my body here, but mostly because it is it's got some tweed flecks in it, and I'm picking up on some of those, and then it's snagging a little bit, but that's okay. It's gonna look beautiful when it's done. So we're gonna continue going here. Some yarns you just have to help along, and that's just par for the course. I'm gonna pick up that one, then I'm gonna go and lift up this bobby pin here so I can get my hook under there. I'm gonna grab that stitch and pull it through. Then I'm gonna put my working yarn tail around the hook and pull it through and tighten it. Okay, so I've got that end closed, and I chose to show you the end that's the hardest. The waste yarn that you start your project with is the hardest to take off. And so what you have to do with that is grab a section close to where your tail is, pinch the stitch, and pull the top thread out. Unravel it a little ways down, pinch the stitch right before where you're going to pull, and pull. Do that all the way around, about 5 or 6 stitches in between, and pull. And all you have to do that for is the first row, and once you get the first row done, then the rest unravels very beautifully. And the other end, which is the end of your project, will just unravel without you having to do this. So that's why I always say, if you only need waste yarn on one end, and if it doesn't matter what end it is, then always, choose to put your waste yarn at the end of your project, because it's easier to take off. Okay, almost done here. But I find this easy anyways, because it's, once you learn the technique and you follow it, you will have no problem. So now see, now it just pulls off. The only thing you gotta watch for is getting tangled around this other piece of yarn that's there. Okay, so pull that off, and then I'm going to show you how to close it. We've got both ends done beautifully on our ear warmer, and we've got it all stretched out in every direction. And it's looking great so far. So now all we have to do is put the twist in it. So when it's laying in one direction, pull up your ends just like this. Now take one and put it in half. Then take the other one and put it in half the same way, so that the ends are facing each other, of course. And then you're just going to slip one inside the other. Slip one end inside the other, and you get a U shape there and a U shape there. Okay, so then you're going to thread your needle. Hopefully you've left a big enough strand of yarn. I did not, but that's not unusual for me. If you watch my videos, I'm often adding yarn, but that's okay. I don't mind doing that either. It's very easy to do. So now that I have, I'll just use both ends. I'm going to go halfway and then I'll use the other end. So now that we got that, I've got my yarn end coming out there. I'm going to secure it. I want to eventually grab that, but I'm going to just go under this one to begin with, just till I can reach that point. It takes about 2 stitches, I think, for me. I can pull it in there tighter, but I like the look of it when I do it this way. Okay, and so now I'm going to go underneath all four of my pieces and go across, give that a pull, and then it snugs it up just the way it needs to be. And then I'm going to go in on this side, make sure I pick up just the very tips of all 4, come across, give it a pull. Don't go far down, just pick up the very top of the stitch on all 4 rows. Okay, I'm going to pull that through just a little bit and continue down the row. Because these are double thickness, they're just so warm. I don't know about where you live, but when I'm making this, we are in the middle of September, and today is the coldest day I've felt in a while. I mean, it's not cold. I think it's like 15 degrees or 16 degrees, but compared to what we've been having, it feels cold. So, you know, if you go out for a walk in the evening and it's a little bit windy, it's not too late to start wearing one of these over your ears. But in the winter time in particular, it's just, I just love these ear warmers. I think they're beautiful. I'll be giving a lot away as gifts. I'll be selling a lot this season too, as I'm sure you will, but I'm going to give away quite a few as gifts to my friends for their birthdays. Okay, so actually this wasn't too bad. It wasn't too short. So I'm gonna just go till it gets to this other side. And then I'm gonna join it with this one. It's a little bit longer. I'm gonna take over with this one. I'm gonna give that a little tie into a knot. So if this happens to you, you can go ahead and do that too. And if it doesn't, well, then you just keep sewing right across to the other end, okay? So, and I'm gonna hide that, of course, that tail will be hidden. And I'm gonna just continue down my journey here. Making sure I get, now I've, that other side I'm done with. The one that's in the middle. Now I'm only picking up 3. I think that stitch was 3. You can pull the inside layers further to the edges and catch them right from the beginning if you like. But it doesn't really make that big of a difference, if any, in the project. Okay, so I'm going to give that a tie. I'm going to then, oops, I should have left that on there. I'm going to weave it just in to reach this other one. And then I'm going to tie a knot again. I'm going to go ahead and hide these. It's smelling really good in my house right now. I have a chicken in the oven. And I'm going to just partially cook it. Then I'm going to go put it on my barbecue. We're going to have barbecue chicken. Okay, so here we go. Almost done this second one. Pull that through. Then I'm going to snip them off. Turn this the other way. Oh, I just love this pattern. Give it a good stretch. And there we have our finished project. So fast, so easy. make a pair of mitts to match. I have a video on my channel that shows you how to make a beautiful pair of mitts. Go ahead and make one that matches your ear warmer and give it away as a gift. Wear it yourself, wear it proudly, and just enjoy making them. They're so much fun. Okay, my friends, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have not subscribed to my channel yet, I ask that you would do that. I would appreciate your support in that way. So thank you so much, and happy knitting.